Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry, technology, and services to help you create more videos to use in your mortgage business. So hello and welcome to another Wednesday, an episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind. My name is Ginger Bell. I have Scott Schang with me, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Mike Smith from Knoxville, Tennessee. So happy Wednesday, guys.
Happy Wednesday. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. So thanks for joining us. Mike, we love having people join us and share what they're doing on video. And I love your story. I had an opportunity to meet you just a few months ago. We met virtually as you were coming into the industry. And so we've had, some discussion about how to get into the, industry, how to leverage and things like that. And so, for you actually not only started new in the industry a few months ago, but you also recently moved to Knoxville, Tennessee from Connecticut. So two challenges here, getting started in the industry and new to the community. So tell me about that. As far as, what's your background, how you got into the industry, and, kind of what you're doing with video.
Sure. So I grew up in Connecticut, and my wife and I moved to Knoxville about 2 months ago. So totally new to the area and new to the mortgage industry as well. Still getting used to the heat down here. It's a little bit nuts, but we love it so far. And, many years ago, I was a real estate appraiser. I did a little bit with a mortgage company, but I joked around earlier, that was 20 pounds ago. That was a long time ago. And it really is like I'm just getting started once again, fresh. So we moved down here, and my whole family, my sister is a processor and a loan originator. She's done it for years. My mother was a loan officer as well. And I have a lot of folks in my family in the real estate business. So I was always around it. And I guess you could say I finally succumbed and got sucked in and decided to go for it.
You went to the dark side.
I went to the dark side. Yeah. But I love helping people out. So the idea of helping folks, find a home and that thing was so attractive to me. But it definitely was a wild, it's been a wild ride with some wild challenges with all the changes going on. But you have to at some point kind of shut the news off and tune some things out and stay focused. So
yeah. And I think that's important. I mean, not for those of us who have been in the industry for a long time, it's really can be a detriment to where you go back to, it's like, oh my gosh, is this like what happened in 2008? You don't have that history. And so not knowing anything different, I think is great for you. Maybe not great financially right now, but it's a matter of focus. And so for you, you just moved to Knoxville, so brand new to the industry, just moved to Knoxville. So you really don't have a network there.
No.
So making those phone calls to those real estate agents is a little bit different as far as doing that. Not impossible, because I know we had Parker Couch on, who's also with Homestar. He had started in the industry last October and started doing video right away. I don't think Parker has funded less than $3 million every month. And it gave him a reason to call real estate agents because he had that. So let's talk about branding and kind of what you're doing with Knoxville Bites and what the whole idea behind that is.
Okay, so I work with Michelle Poulin, who I know you've had on before. Absolutely amazing. I love her. She's so awesome. And she's the one that told me about the Knoxville Bites idea. Now, I don't know where she got it, if that was something that you guys had talked about.
Yeah, we had talked about beforehand, kind of coming up with something that was different for you to make it easy to talk about. She's done the hub. And so, it's a matter of, okay, what are the things that you can talk about that aren't necessarily driven towards Knoxville? And luckily, KnoxvilleBites.com ironically was available. So the whole plan is to be able to incorporate all of that, which I know you've already started on some of that.
Yeah. So what I've done is I connected with the Knoxville Chamber, which is important as well, because I was trying to find and highlight specifically local restaurants, kind of the mom and pops and things that are unique, not so much chains. So it gives me an opportunity to go in and, number one, have a lot of fun doing it. It's kind of like diners, drive-ins, and dives, light. And so I'm been going in and highlighting the food, and I'm getting used to it as well and learning as I go. And it's just a great way to even give back to the community and say, hey, look, this is all that Knoxville has to offer. So that's kind of level number one. Level number two is obviously it gives me recognition, right? I get my face out there, and personal branding is so important. Love it or hate it, it's not going away. So personal branding is key. And, the third thing is it gives me an opportunity to highlight realtor partners as well. And really anyone, realtors, insurance folks, anyone in that kind of in that field, in that zone. So what I've done is I had a really hard time. I'm connected with mortgage marketing animals, of course, and hitting the Thor's hammer list on Mondays, if you guys know that language and that vocabulary out there. And I'm just going to be candid. It was a challenge coming into the area, and I'm a northerner in the South, and I can come up with all my excuses, but it was something where I was struggling gaining traction. And I'll be honest with you, making outbound calls, especially when they feel cold, even though they're somewhat warm, for someone like me, I don't love it. I don't love making those calls. And I'm not a big sports guy either. I'm not super competitive. So I figured any way I can get an unfair advantage, I'll take it.
Right.
So this kind of gives me an unfair advantage because everyone loves food.
Right.
The thing about food too, if anyone's thinking about doing something similar to this, is food blogs and anything to do with like food reviews and recipes is some of the highest consumed content on the internet. Everybody loves food.
That and travel. So
that and travel.
Two things, which I know that's something we talked about with Knoxville Bites, that maybe you could do, like not just the bites as far as eating, but bites as far as, bite-sized trips or things like that. So it doesn't always have to be around food, but you can kind of move around a little bit with that. So so tell me about the very first video, and I posted it. So for those of you who are watching us live, I posted in our Facebook feed, and for those of you who are watching us online, I put it into our chat box. So you can go and watch Mike's first video, which I love. I mean, I love ice cream, and it's hot. It's a place to go. So And this is the thing, and I've showed your video to a lot of people. I know, Scott, you saw it in Tahoe. People like, how do I go out and shoot something like that? It's like, how do I put all those pieces together? How can I even think through this? So walk us through that process, because I think a lot of people are always challenged with that. First of all, you're shooting from your phone, right?
Right, just my iPhone. That's it.
iPhone, what are you using as far as mics?
That's a great question. The microphone that I am using, that I have here, is I have a lapel mic that plugs in.
Is it the Rode?
It's a Finch PXL.
Okay.
I've actually never heard of the brand before. It's just a little lapel mic, and it's a wired mic. It's not wireless.
Okay.
It has like a 24-foot cable.
Okay.
So I was a musician for many years, and I know a little bit about audio side. So that's a strength that I have.
Nice.
Wireless is great, but it can be a little bit quirky. You can get interference, and sometimes it doesn't sound that great. So I use the hardwired mic. And all this was my cell phone on a kind of like a selfie stick tripod with my secret weapon. And my secret weapon is my wife.
Nice.
My wife, Linda, she's like behind the scenes person. She's really shy. So she had a much harder time filming this, drawing attention than I did, because I get to eat ice cream and talk. So I was in a great position.
Nice.
The key is this. So for the second one, for Babalu, which is a Cuban Latin restaurant, we actually contacted them. You
Okay.
said, hey, this is what we're
So
doing.
you didn't contact the ice cream place. And so when you went and shot, so you start that video out in your car. So, and this is what I want to think about. It's like when you're thinking about doing videos, and especially something like this, you need to have an idea as far as kind of framing it out. So how are you going to frame it? So you started out in your car, and did you have a thing in your car that you put the phone on, and or was it your tripod that you just put up there?
It was my dashboard.
It was your dashboard. Okay.
This was so low tech.
No, and that's, I mean, it's like people think this has to be complicated. It doesn't have to be complicated, right?
Yep. I rested it on my dashboard. It probably fell down 3 times, but and of course my wife was there as well, driving down. So the framing of it was, hey, welcome to not Nashville. Welcome to Knoxville Bites. I'm saying it now. Kind of come on and join me. What makes the city so great, and what makes it so great to relocate to? Because people are relocating to this area in droves. It's huge, huge from all over the country. So it was kind of like a come on, let's go type of framing, and then driving into the city and going to check out Cruz Farm. Now I do highly recommend that you reach out to the restaurant or the eatery first. And they're usually extremely excited about it.
Yeah. Yep. So did you use, so the other thing, and I'm always compliance person because I taught compliance for so many years, and I know I think I've sent you, if not, we need to make sure that they are signing a release, right?
Right.
So you had, I know, one interview on the ice cream, and I think you had one on the Bubaloos too. And
correct.
So you're getting them to sign that release so you can publish that. So I think that's important to remember. Make sure and do a CYA and get a release signed on it.
Right. That's a great point. And I also learned that when I went to shoot the first video, it was packed. And so you might want to go at like 2:00 or 3:00 or
and it's not so busy. Yep. So write a list as far as maybe your shots, as far as what you want to do. Here's what I want to do for my opening shot. And then I love the fact that you're in the car because you're like, hey, you get the visual of, hey, come along with me, and you can take, if your wife is with you, don't do this when you're driving, but if you have someone with you, you can take, pictures in the car. You can take videos in the car. You can take videos arriving at the location, so taking videos about that. And just, take people's like, what do I take videos? Everything, take videos of everything. So tell me about your script, because you start off with your intro and then you do some history about, where they're from, how they started. You talked about the husband and wife. So did you do that after you were there? Did you do it while you were there?
So I did that afterwards. And once again, super high tech. I just went to their website and I looked at their About Us section.
And you can honestly read it and use B-roll behind it, which is, I think, what Aaron did when we produced that video. Is and that brings so much to the story to have that history there. And I love the fact that you do that because, for me, whenever I travel someplace, that's the first thing I do. I go and research the place and I want to know, where should I eat? Where should I stay? What things should I see? And so you're putting yourself in the middle of what people are searching for, which I love. So you went to the website, got the history from there, and then you sat down. I love the part you're sitting down. And I think you said you had, it was in the middle of the day. So you're having ice cream before dinner. And you talked about what kind you were having. I mean, those are the kind of things, that extra part that becomes a part of the story that people need to think about, right? And so you did such a good job as far as doing that. You interviewed someone. And so when you, did the interview with her, and it looked like you wired her up as well, right?
I did.
Okay. So tell me about that.
So I only have one microphone.
Right.
Once low tech. So what I ended up having to do, and especially you see this in a second, the second video is I asked the questions with my microphone on, and then I gave the microphone and they answered the questions. So I got good sound on that and just kind of made do. So we were swapping the microphone back and forth. But
yeah, and if you don't want to do that, I'm going to interrupt. So if just a little tech thing, there is a splitter you can get. So if you are going to use a wired mic to do that, you can get a splitter and plug that in. If you are planning on doing interviews, I would really recommend a wireless mic, and Rode has one that has 2 packs. And so you plug the one into the phone, and then you can have one and they can have one, just to make it a little bit easier. And I'll drop those links in as well, because sometimes it is hard with the back and forth. Okay, so
Now,
did the interview.
I would also, another option of that, if you want 2 audio feeds, is get one of those little Zoom recorders and plug your wired lav into it. So then that way you'll have super crisp, clean
Audio.
2 audio feeds for post. If you're going to go through that much trouble, the simple way is just a splitter. I mean, you can get 2-headed lavs. Right.
Yeah, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that I definitely need to go into the 2 mics into the future and soon. But the reason why we're talking about microphones is there's something that's really strange that happens mentally when we're processing video, right? And I'm sure, Ginger, you know this. You can get away with video quality being, if it ended up turning out slightly poor, but the audio is strong. But no matter how clear the video is, if it's 4K video, if your audio is struggling, it's irritating to watch, and people won't watch the video.
Yeah, no, that is very true.
We want both, of course. We want both, but yeah, you got to make sure that the audio is clear. So
right, yeah, before anything. So I love that. So you have all of these little video clips, and then putting them together. Obviously, you're a client of ours, so we edit and produce it for you. But it's something, if somebody says, hey, I want to do this on my own, there's definitely software you can use in order to do that. But I think you want to think about, and I know that's one of the things that our team does when we put your videos together, is using your story and your audio, taking the behind, and it doesn't even have to be that complicated. Like if you don't want to get that technical into it, or you don't have somebody doing your post-production like what we do for you, you can just say, okay, I'm arriving, and now I've here, and here's the interview, and you can just put those 2 together as well. So post it onto YouTube, post it onto Facebook. Tell me about what kind of engagement you're getting.
Okay, so if I could just backtrack a little bit.
Oh, you can do whatever you want, Mike.
Because something that you pointed out, which was so important, your team, I think it was Aaron, did such a fabulous job putting that together. And a B-roll, or basically like extra footage, I take my camera and I'd encourage you just to shoot pretty much everything around. If there's, if you like the light, shoot the light, pan around a little bit, pan around on the street. Because that's all footage that can be kind of woven in to tell the story. And even if it's just raw, I mean, gosh, I must have overloaded her with so many clips. So
no, she loves it. And it's like, it's one of those things, anyone that's a video editor that produces any kind of video, we always love seeing more B-roll content, because it's always what we're lacking. And it makes the video very interesting to be able to have that. It keeps people engaged, and you'll see the quick changes and the quick clips on that. And that's what we want to be able to do. So I don't think you can ever take too much B-roll.
No.
So in terms of engagement, so you guys had helped me upload the videos to YouTube and then social media as well. So YouTube is just starting out, just getting some traction on those videos. So that's still a little bit low, but I think we put the first video out, was it 3 weeks ago? Maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 2.5 weeks ago. And I know you're at 130 views, which somebody looks at that, it's like not a lot. But honestly, you just started. I think you've got 4 videos up on your YouTube channel. We just started your YouTube channel a month ago. So be able to already have that. And that's the whole thing. And that just continues to build. It's funny. I just had a conversation with someone who's had a YouTube channel for 5 years. and he feels like he's not getting any engagement. He's not getting the views. And he was like, I think I'm going to stop doing it. I said, you should never stop doing a YouTube channel. Honestly, I think everyone should have a YouTube channel because it's what people go and search for when they're researching you. That's one of the first things I do is I go to YouTube and I search for someone. It's like, what are they putting out for content? If you don't have a YouTube channel, and especially if you're an influencer and you don't have a YouTube channel, then I'm really questioning it. So YouTube a little bit slower, but what's happening on Facebook?
So Facebook, the first video took off. I think I have close to 1,200 views, just under 1,200 views right now on Facebook, which is awesome. I'm excited about
and
that.
That's on your business page.
Correct. Yep, that's on the business.
That's the thing. People are always, and the same thing. I always get conversations from people. It's like, I'm going to stop posting on my business page because I'm not getting engagement. If you're putting good content out there, and you can boost it. I mean, you can do. I don't think that you boosted any. I don't think Michelle's boosting your stuff on Facebook.
I think we're just starting to now. Yeah,
okay. But that one wasn't boosted.
No.
And so, but.
Yeah, and I was actually just having a conversation with somebody this weekend, and Facebook has sort of a renewed commitment to popularizing pages, because it used to be that business pages were, you'd send them out to your friends, they might give you a like, but nobody ever goes back to the page. But Facebook is putting a lot of effort into upgrading pages now. If you log into your page, you get a big badge and a bunch of confetti that says you've been upgraded to the new page experience. So they do have a renewed effort to bring more exposure and more traffic to those pages. So I based on what I've seen on that, I love that. I would reinvest in those business pages for sure.
And we're definitely seeing that. We've already started seeing that in our clients on their business pages, that there's definitely more views, more likes, more engagements, and all of that. And then, so you post it, we post it onto your business page, and then you share it onto your personal page, right?
I shared onto my personal page, and something new that I've done is I did create another page that's just Knoxville Bites recently.
Okay.
But I connected them. So when you watch the video on the Knoxville Bites page, it's really shared from my business page. So you can't get around knowing who I am and what I do, because that's kind of the whole point, right?
And I think we could even take it one step further, Mike, and because you own the URL, knoxvillebites.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we could create an entire web page on there that has your YouTube channel on there, but then also you could almost start creating a directory and, kind of focusing on some different, places in there. I mean, there's so much, and Scott, you've done so much with your Find My Way Home as far as web page and relocating to the area and things like that.
Yeah.
That would kind of be the next step that I would mirror the two of those together to really leverage on that.
I got a bunch of stuff I need to unpack here. You are just you are dropping so many nuggets, and I'm just making notes over here. Do you mind if I go off on a little tangent and shine a spotlight on a bunch of this stuff? So the one thing I would maybe consider is the Knoxville Bites, make that a public group instead of a page, or maybe even a private group. And you can actually run ads only to Knoxville on Facebook to get people there. Groups are still a very, very powerful strategy. There's no sales that go on there. It's a community. Sometimes people will just do community homeowners. So maybe look into that, because I think the engagement would be a lot better in the group. Then you'll have the group and the page. One of the things that you said, so this reminds me of our friend Julie Zemelis, who lived in California, and she moved to Hawaii. And so her and I had a conversation many years ago, and we talked about allowing people to move vicariously through her. So the fact that you are a mover, there's a lot of people moving to your area right now. And that entire premise of I'm a new person moving here, because what you're going to have is your main traffic is going to be people saying, what are the best places to move to in Tennessee? Because I know I want to get out of one of these coastal states or high cost states or whatever their reason for moving. And really making that a part of your narrative is, I am documenting, this is my first year in a new city. What do you do when you move to a new city? So I would really incorporate that into your message, into your dialogue, as I am a newbie. I think what that also does for your content, and you're naturally a really good communicator, and you just have such an amazing personality, and you can just tell you're a good and caring person. So you're almost like a kid in this amusement park for the first time. Like, that kind of comes across because you're discovering these things for the very first time. And when you're doing that under the premises again of, hey, I'm brand new to this city, I think there's a lot of value to that. Couple more things. The release with the businesses. One of the reasons you do that release is because you're letting them know that you're going to use this video for the purposes of promotion and advertising. So that kind of makes the business owners, oh, you're going to promote and advertise my business for me? That's fantastic. So if you have any questions about or big concerns about asking people to sign releases, now here's a little trick that I did back in California. So first of all, I love hyperlocal. I've never had the opportunity to be hyperlocal, but I absolutely love it. And it's one of the things that I'm most jealous of. What I would do is, on your Google My Business page, I would post your bites on your Google My Business page, and then it shows up as a blog post, right? I would print out that blog post. So write a couple of paragraphs about this and maybe link it. Print that out and frame it and give it to the business owner. And so then they can hang it on their wall behind the counter and say, we were featured on this by this local business as one of the places to be. So that just kind of reminds them constantly that you were a part of, you're trying to help them. It's that reciprocal part. The last thing I wanted to really say here is when it comes to engagement and when it comes to traffic on YouTube, videos are trust assets. And you don't just take a trust asset and put it in a closet and hope somebody opens the door to that closet. You use that and you're leveraging that in all of your business and a lot of the things that you do. And then the last thing that I kind of wanted to point out is only 100 views. No, that wasn't only 100 views. That was 100 conversations that you had with consumers that now know who you are. And in the last 3 weeks, you have not had 130 conversations with strangers that are getting to know who you are and what you do for a living. So when we do these videos, just because you're not getting that feedback loop, don't assume that you're not impacting people's lives in a positive way and in a proactive way. One-sided conversations are still conversations, whether they respond to you or not. And that's one of the interesting things about video. While it's a one-to-many medium, it's a one-to-one experience. There's only one viewer watching that video at a time. And now they're like, wow, this Mike Smith guy is really, really interesting. And again, really play off of that I'm a stranger in a strange land storyline, because you're such a strong feeder state, there's going to be a lot of people Googling what's the best place to live in Tennessee, or my first year in Knoxville, Tennessee. These kinds of titles are going to pop up and people are going to be super interested. I didn't mean to burn a bunch of time here, but Mike, I am so unbelievably impressed and just so thrilled about what you're doing. I think this is an amazing strategy. And in this market today, I think this strategy is more important in today's market than ever before, because this is not a market where we're just trying to close as much business as we have. This is a market where we are gaining market share, and we are taking that market share from other people. And you being new, you being fresh, you being just filled with all of this energy and this excitement is putting you so far ahead of everybody else in the market who is just complaining about the fact that business isn't as easy as it used to be, and they're scrambling to figure out all of these other things, and you have nothing but opportunity in front of you, and that comes out in your excitement and your personality, and you are literally out hustling probably 99.98% of your competition in the geographic community that you're in right now. So the only other ingredient is consistency, and I don't see that as a problem for you.
Well, thanks so much for that encouragement and those tips too, because I didn't think about the releases and all that. It's very important to make sure you're doing everything right too. Something I want to touch on, which is really cool. I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah, we're actually beyond.
Oh,
we try to keep it to 30. So I'm going to let you wrap it up, and then we'll have you on again. I want to watch your journey.
Yes.
I mean, this is one of those things that as you're getting started with this, it is about, as Scott said, you had 130 conversations that you had with people that other people didn't have with people. So I encourage you to keep going. So I always like to end with what's the number one thing you can tell people they need to do right now about doing videos?
Just do it. Honestly, just try and see what happens, and have fun. Because the first video I did was a bio video, and there was a TV program in the early 90s called Small Wonder. Remember that, with the little girl that was a robot?
Yeah.
That's what I felt like at first. It was horrible.
It was not that, but there was little things, the lighting. I mean, there's some things. So, do the first one, and then, listen to the coaching on it, have somebody watch it, which is what we did. And it's like, okay, let's try this and let's try this, but just keep going. So you've done a fabulous job getting started. And I'm so excited about your journey and everything you're doing. And Scott, so many great suggestions. And that's it. Just be open to all of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I have
great.
to put one more thing on there, though. I know we're over, but this is the most important part. I made only a handful of calls on Monday, and I have 3 meals that I'm sharing with realtors that I've never met before. And they're excited about the idea because they're not excited about too much right now. So it's fun. I get to connect with them. And
so are you doing videos with them? Are you bringing them on with you on the Knoxville Bites?
Yeah.
Well, that's such a great strategy. When you meet with those agents, explain to them what you're doing and say, I'd like you to come along with me. Show me your favorite restaurant, or show me your favorite small business that you think we should highlight on this thing.
Yeah.
And then that gets them engaged, and nobody's going to say no to that. What, I get to brag about my favorite business owner or local restaurant or something like that, and you're going to promote my business too? Nobody's going to say no. And if they do, that's not somebody you want on your referral list.
Yep. No. And just so you know, Mike, while we were doing this call, I actually got the URL for you, Tennessee Bites. So I think your next step is outside of just Knoxville and focusing on, because you're licensed in the entire state of Tennessee, right? So so being able to go that direction. So thank you so much for joining. We will definitely have you on again. Scott, great to see you. And we look forward to seeing everyone next week. Now, go make a video.
Thanks, Ginger.